But even when I say this, cyclic existence, please try to remember, don't get hijacked by thinking we are talking about like a long time. Not necessarily. Long and short is a relative, remember? That you can find out by swimming in a beautiful beach for a whole day and maybe spending 1 hour in a prison. You can immediately tell. But now, you must be thinking, oh, Rinpoche is sort of, like shying away from saying, oh, you can be a human now, but maybe in your next life you can be a butterfly. Maybe he's not saying that. Maybe he's shying away from that. Absolutely not. Because if I'm looking from the bird's eye view, humanness, which is now, I guess, and butterflyness is equally a trip. I'm sure many of you have peyote experience. I'm talking to the right people.
大家很多人都有这个迷幻药的经验嘛，因为这些人都是对的人，听得懂。
And actually, we are just habitually, we are become so narrow. That's all. That's why we cannot swim like a fish. That's the only reason. You just cannot fathom why Democrats are thinking like this. You just don't understand why they think like this. It must be inhuman. This is how the Republican think, right? So I listen to what radio called Patriot.
我们就听一个电台叫做爱国者。
It's really so amazing, so eloquent, those people. Fantastic, fantastic.
太棒了。
Oh, okay. So, we'll come back to reincarnation again, but so now, I don't know, because this subject is so big, and I'm sorry I'm going everywhere, so it's not really orderly, but I'm hoping that you have now sort of at least come to some sort of knowledge that there is two kinds of rigpa, or sort of analysis, analytical system that analyzes the relative truth and that analyzes the ultimate truth. But this is quite hard, actually. This is really tough one. Because of that, even during a practitioner, there's always a challenge for a practitioner. We are not talking just academic students. For a practitioner, meditator, practitioner, you almost have to divide the occasions. One occasion is called Tawatena Bebikap, which means that occasion or the time when you establish the view. Gombe Nyamsulam Bikap, the time or the occasion where you actually apply that into your practice. Those two many times contradicts or very paradoxical, they don't look similar. Of course, there's this habit like, oh, we treasure the wisdom, right? We treasure the wisdom, the view.
我们会说哦，我们珍视这个见地。
And we tend to sort of look down at the top, the upaya, the methods. This is where, again, this is really important. This happens a lot among the, Buddhist students and practitioners, a lot. When you talk about establishing the view occasion, the first occasion, the occasion or the time when you establish the view, when you finalize the view, moment somebody says something exists because it does have a proof. I think I'm talking to two RDs here, Richard Dixie and Richard Darwin, both. The moment you say something exists because there is a proof, or moment you say something does not exist because there is no proof, are equally relative, One is not higher than the other. So, because the moment you talk about a proof, in the Buddhist trained mind, like mine, the moment you talk about a proof, you are talking about a subject to whom the proof is happening, sort of. So on a relative level, no problem. Relatively level, you can say billions of light years or time, whatever years ago, there's something exists. Sure, of course, totally, no problem with that. And it's usable.
而且这是有用的。
Just as the Buddhists think reincarnation fall into this category.
就是佛教徒认为，转世也是属于这个分类的。
Okay, again, I know this. You wanted to really talk about the proof, right? And I'm not into. I'm not that amazed by these stories like somewhere in Rajasthan a boy remember being a member of National Rifle Association. All of these things that doesn't move me so much. So those things doesn't do much to me. And me as a reincarnated, I don't remember a thing of the past. So this is why, okay. So then there seems to be this sort of the word that people seem to use a lot. Reincarnation is irrelevant to the Western society or the Buddhist. I think irrelevant. And I need to really know what do you mean by irrelevant. Basically, again, I'm repeating here, as long as you say something does not exist relatively, you are underestimating.
在低估。
And as long as you say something does exist ultimately, then you are exaggerating. Now, this is something I think for many of you kind of foreign, this way of thinking. Indian philosophers, especially probably Advaita, Vedanta, Buddhism, Jainism, these philosophers' nightmare is becoming extreme. They don't want to, they all want to be in the middle way, you understand? Their nightmare is, falling into this extreme. Because if the path falls into one of these extremes, this path becomes very dangerous. This is what they think. So this is what I'm saying. To those who are Buddhist, but actually they are materialist, or they may even have some other residual, and if they underestimate reincarnation, this will become a religion that can be used to I'll put it very mildly. To impose Buddhist Republic of California. I'm serious. This is extreme. You become extreme. Because Shunyata, middle way, so far can never be used as a threat. If you underestimate relative truth or overestimate ultimate truth, this path becomes an extreme path. And it's not then it is a violent path. Now this is a little bit dense, but I'm just bringing this up so that, I don't know, somehow we can continue, have some sort of a, think tank or whatever, we can discuss. And okay, so once again, I repeat, once you use the analytical method to find the ultimate truth, soul, God, reincarnation, all of this, gets deconstructed. Again, using the analysis to find out the ultimate truth, you cannot assert there is reincarnation. But a little bit different. You cannot assert that there is a reincarnation. You cannot also say there is not.
那利用分析的方法去分析生义谛，你没有办法确定说有转世存在，可是同时你也没有办法说没有。
Now, one thing, I think we have talked about this earlier, one thing we can discuss is whether the reincarnation that the Buddhists are talking is invalid relative truth.
自属。
And that is quite, that would be interesting debate actually. But as I think I've mentioned this a little bit, as a human being, we have a habit of believing in continuity. The only difference is that the materialist would say, I believe in a continuity that can be experienced and proved within the capacity, within whatever broad dualistic mind.
The materialist.
The materialist can say, I believe in a continuity, sort of like I was there having lunch earlier and now I'm here, you know. But it is still falls under the, from the Buddhist point of view, it will still falls under the hypothesis or assumption. Some problem because who to punish if you have a criminal? There's quite a lot, but I like to sort of, know whether we are communicating. So maybe it is good if one or two can ask questions or challenge if you want. Maybe interaction is much better for now.
那也许同时这个以目前的状态相互沟通可能更好。
Thank you for this opportunity, Rinpoche. With all due respect, very difficult subject, as you said in your introduction. And I think it would have been much easier, both for the presenter and for the audience, if it was done in one language at a time. From my own experience sitting here in the audience, I was not able to detect any sustained development of thought because every sentence led to a translation, and then during the translation one had the opportunity to fall asleep. But there were some things that I heard Rinpoche say that caught my attention. At the beginning you talked about not being able to have a conversation with scientists, say about the mind. Well, in that case, maybe the people you wanted to talk with would have been better to be philosophers and theologians from the West who have a specialty of mind and soul. When you gave us your definitions of soul that you pulled from an American dictionary, I suppose it was a general standard usage dictionary, but I think you would have, oh, and you did not say that in a standard Tibetan dictionary, if there is a word soul, this is what it says. I think you would have been better, more precise, more scientific to go to a dictionary of philosophy or a dictionary of theology to get a proper definition of the word soul and the words related to it. When you talked about not connecting with scientists, I thought, well, the statements that Buddhism makes about the mind, first, let me approach it this way. Western science, the method of Western science is to observe, to measure, and make hypotheses. And I don't know, I've read some stuff about, I've read a little book called The Buddhist Explanation of Everything, and I was quite impressed by it. It was written by an Indian. And in there, when Buddhism talks about cosmology, it's all unverifiable statements. However, when you go to the West, and the West starts to talk about cosmology, all of their statements in astronomy, for example, are now measurable. And the Western science in astronomy has made great advances, just that lead to philosophical implications. For example, just in measuring or observing the heavens and the contents of the heavens, galaxies, universes, etc., or galaxies outside of this galaxy. Those are not just philosophical statements, but whatever Western astronomy says about the heavens, those statements are all observable, can be verified by somebody else using the same method or a similar scientific method. And from them we know that what we see is just wavelengths, and that what we see is just a very small part of the wavelength band, so that there are vast other things in infrared, vast other things in ultraviolet. And, well,
do you want to translate that? Just briefly?
Yeah. 这位先生 You want to translate? 这位先生说，这个仁波切在讲，然后有翻译是很不好的一件事情，因为会睡着。
Okay. So.
So everyone wants to know what's my question. My question is, if His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche could recall all his past lives in the crystal pearls, and Dorje Dechen Lingpa can recall all his past lives, then, and we take it on faith that these men are speaking the truth and not just spinning tales, then how come you don't remember any of yours?
所以终于他讲出他的问题是说，这个敦珠法王还有另外一位伟大的这个上师都可以记得他们的前世，那为什么仁波切记不得他的前世？
I think a requirement of the translation is because there has been a lot of requests from other parts of the world where there's supposedly a few thousands listening.
有翻译的原因是因为
Since I made it very clear right at the beginning, I'm really wanting to talk to a Buddhist. Buddhist, but with a little bit of definition. And yes, your suggestion to talk to a theologian and philosopher would be really good. I'm very interested in them, but today's, I'm not addressing to Western philosophy too. Dudjom Rinpoche and me, this is very simple.
那至于敦珠法王跟仁波切之间的差别呢，这很简单。
There are people who can remember things.
有一些人可以记得事情，
Like passwords.
比如说密码。
I don't remember any passwords.
仁波切记不得任何密码。
And then I go to whatever account, and there's a forgotten password, click here, and then I click. New password. Again I forget.
所以总要去点那个忘了密码吗？然后点了以后呢，新的密码来了又忘了。
So it's just because you are talking about someone who remembers so much and someone who can't remember a thing. Definitely past life too far. my habitual mind.
在人们界的习气的心里面，认为过去是太久以前了。
Of course, I like to remember Buddha's word that all of this happened during a duration of a spark of a fire.
当然，人
But
们
that's
界
only on an intellectual level.
当然人们
Oh, now the real Brit.
啊，好，现在真正的英国人出现了。
If I could just ask that, but just because there are hundreds of people here, if you could just sort of get right to the point of that.
Rinpoche, you've made a lot of statements today, which I think are very helpful for Westerners, because I think most Westerners have a residue of Abrahamic and materialism, because really that's where we come from as a Western culture. And one of the main things that I want to ask you about is the preconception we all carry that we live in a world. Because I think that is a materialist preconception that's almost universally held. And of course it's totally incompatible with karma and reincarnation. If we live in a world, then there is no karma and no reincarnation, because the world is a given that works already. We're in that world. So I think it's really be helpful if you would comment on that. I'd be most grateful.
Actually, what you were saying, this is very good. Actually, to me, this is a good news. Everything what we are going through here. I think this is a sign that Buddhism is beginning to get matured. Now is the time to really sit down and talk these nitty-gritty definitions. And if we do that, as you know, probably I'm being too, what do you call it, fanatical here, but there's one thing that Buddhism don't have to do is alter and adjust. None of that is necessary.
So to follow then, during this last few weeks, we've had a probe photographing Pluto. And we have got pictures of Pluto that we never had before. Now, there's no way you can tell me that Pluto doesn't exist. Pluto is out there. And
Sure.
we've taken photographs of it with a machine.
Yeah.
Now, this is very problematic. If you
Yeah,
don't...
in your habitual mind.
Well, no, it's not just a habit. It's out there. There is photographs coming back, Rinpoche.
No, but I'm hearing what materialist habit.
But I don't
It's
see
out
why it's
there.
a habit. Why is it a habit?
Anything you think is actually a habit. I'm serious.
That's just too slippery. You can't say that.
What? What did he say?
Well, one last thing. How can we distinguish between valid conventional truth and invalid conventional truth if everything is a habit?
Oh. There are things, like a painted moon versus real moon. Painted moon, painted Pluto for you. Yes.
But it's not painted.
Painted Pluto is invalid.
Yes.
Yes.
But that's
the only difference.
yes, but there's the point, Rinpoche. Pluto's not painted. It's real.
No, I'm... real after the analysis of searching for the truth, then you have a problem. If you are saying real in the sense of relative truth, then I have no problem. Sure.
But then the problem there is that if you say if that is relative truth, that's accurate relative truth, then reincarnation isn't possible. Because the world exists. We're in a world that already exists.
This part I don't understand.
Oh, okay. If Pluto exists, then Jupiter exists, and then Mars exists, and then the Earth exists, and this room exists. The whole thing exists already.
A relative level.
Yes, relative level.
So?
Now, the problem there is, therefore, karma can't affect it. It's already there.
No. Now you are talking like a Hindu karma people. No. There's a different. Yeah.
Well,
This is another one. I think maybe not all Hindu. I should not say. I have to be careful here because Advaita people are very advanced. You see, the karma and the reincarnation has been abused so much. It has been culturally used. I mean, everything from collecting donation to everything. Oh, you will have a good karma, give me some money, blah, blah, blah. All the way to, oh, you better behave because otherwise you'll go to hell. This has been misused. Yeah, definitely. But karma is union. Karma, okay, I'll tell you what. Special, this is designed for you. Karma is actually the union of what is it? Predestined. And then the other one, what is it?
Fate, destiny.
Free. Yes. Karma is actually union of predestined and free will. Both. That is the Buddhist karma.
Sure.
I'm serious.
But Rinpoche, that karma can't affect the external world because it is external.
What?
There's the rub. That karma is psychological karma.
But
That's the bachelor's karma.
For me, there's nothing independently existing beyond your mind. I mean, apart from your mind.
Okay, I'll leave you.
Okay, we will continue later.
Hello. Is it on? Speak loudly. No?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Whenever I listen to Dharma, I hear that I don't see the switch.
Is there a mic there?
Okay. Okay, how about now? No. Okay, I speak loud. Into the mic. There's no mic.
Hello.
Who is handling the mic?
I cannot elaborate, because this is my second language. I'm from Iran. I'm a Buddhist from Iran, but I'm in California, so I speak both. And when I listen to Dharma, I told myself to just relax, and you don't need to improve anything. This is what it is, just this moment, now. And yet, my country just constantly breaks my heart. And I just, I switch from this side to the other side. I go back to Iran and I say, wow, this carry on, compassion. And I'm bored to death because, we just keep my backs to Japanese beach like we were talking about. So I want to know where else can we meet the middle way and just to you.
You are talking about very, practical, nothing philosophical. I mean, of course it's related to, there's many ways. There's many answers for this. I cannot really give you everything now, okay? But all this understanding, all this what we have been discussing, I will try to bring it what we have been discussing. All this it definitely will help. The reason is this deconstructs the fundamental problem of extremism. And I think where there is an extreme view, usually many of this problem comes. And I think this is one of the best way to deconstruct the extreme view. Okay? Very good, very good. Cannot, actually, you cannot. But it can, but then you would say, is this really absolutely useless? No. You can, this is a very important question, actually.
Can I try?
Oh, do you want to? Okay, I will answer in a different way. Let me try.
目前用另外一个方法来回答。
The Buddhist methods say there's a hierarchy, some are better than the other. Let's say, just hypothetically, for the sake of argument.
那我们假设佛教的这个法门里面有一些比较高的比较好的，我们先假设这样。
So-called the better method is, okay, how to determine what is better and what is lesser is how much of this talk and analysis is binding you or releasing you. This is why I think the great methods like Zen, for instance, or in the Tibetan tradition, Mahamudra or Mahasandhi, no talking, no analysis, really little. Actually, higher it goes, less and less, and at the end, none. And by necessity, if they need to talk, many times their way of talking is totally the opposite. Something quite absurd they will talk.
可是他们有时候也用某种可以理解的方法是说，可是说那些你不能说的东西。
I think like a Japanese term, I think shikantaza, I think they call it just sit.
比如说像
as a Tibetan Buddhist, I would hear the word just and sit. Again, there is remember I was talking earlier, many times you will hear sort of the truth and the fake one together. And then the word just for me is the truth, and the sit is that sort of the non-truth one, because you need to do something. You cannot really sort of just dance. It's better just sit. Also, it has the element of not doing things. And this word just, I mean, I don't know much about Zen, but I read a little bit like Dogen. The Zen concept of just, I think, is so profound. The word just is priceless. But you have to really get used to this, and you have to understand the word just. Because there's a lot of elimination, so to speak, for the time being. But the elimination also is what is the opposite of elimination? Sort of. Augmentation? Yeah. And then also there's a Tantric Buddhism.
当然还有密乘
where you could ask a Tantric master,
你可以要求一个密圣的老师。
You could ask Tantric master to sort of point out this untalkable thing. And ideally, we don't know, actually. Your Tantric master would make a big fuss about how to walk to a toilet and find the right toilet, walk in there, and then finally he might say, okay, pee without unzipping your fly. And that could do the job. Because you have the habit, normal, because we are working with a habit, and the normal habit, automatic habit is you will have to touch somewhere down there, isn't it?
那这些密圣的老师呢，可能会用会用很多很复杂的方法来告诉你。比如说他会跟你说，你要想办法找到一个对的厕所，然后走进去，然后不把拉链拉开就小便。那这样子可能就会达到讲到那个不能讲的那个东西，因为我们有很多的习气，都是认为我们必须打开拉链，拿某个东西出来才能小便。
Okay, we will take a break, 15 minutes break, and then we'll come back and just for a short, just need to, there are few things that, I don't think I'll finish all my notes, but there are few things that I wanted to just conclude.
休息15分钟，Rinpoche回来还要讲一些内容。